fire pit or something.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Probably don't like
Oh, wouldn't that be awesome though? We could do like a little fireplace and tell ghost
your
stories.
soda on top of here might. Your soda can on top of here might.
Might what?
I think it's fine.
We'll find out.
It looks odd, but...
Yeah, I mean, he's the only one with a drink.
Okay. So, hi everybody. This is our first Spective First Light podcast. This is episode 1. We have most of the crew here, and anything you'd like to tell the lovely people before we start?
I would just point out that one of our guys is missing. Skylar
Yeah.
couldn't make it tonight, but other than that, yeah, we're just gonna sit around and tell some ghost stories, and I'll help you get to know our team a little better.
That was beautiful. So, I feel really awkward. I feel like I'm not acting.
Let's cut this, okay?
Cut that,
Guys,
cut
let's
that.
edit that little piece.
We have to start over.
Keep it rolling. Edit it later. Edit it
It's
later.
the first podcast.
I didn't plug it in. I didn't-
Get
What? Oh, his camera's not plugged in, so it's gonna die halfway through. Oh my goodness. All right, I'm gonna
Brilliant.
drink it too then.
That's all right.
Anybody want a
sorry.
Say
drink?
all that again.
Anybody want a drink?
Practice run.
I feel like I'm so awkward on camera for no reason.
Hey, where's my bubbly?
Hey,
I'll get a
how about-
bubbly out.
Bubbly?
Shouldn't we
Where's
like
the bubbly
pause
over
in
there?
between,
Oh, you have a bubbly already. Okay.
like
You don't wanna
not
edit
what we
too
say,
much.
but in between people, like give it like 5
Well,
seconds.
see, the thing is, if it was just
lot of
audio,
seconds.
it'd be really easy to edit that sort of thing. But where it's video, you kind of don't want to edit too much because it's gonna be real choppy and weird.
Yeah, I agree. The more... the
That's why
more straight
audio
run.
only is pretty good. But
And people want to see us being our natural selves
Yeah.
and joke and, you know,
Yeah.
be silly a little and whatever.
really?
I mean,
think so.
yeah, all the best podcasts
I
I,
think
listen
so.
to are just guys. Most of the guys are drunk when they're doing their podcasts. It's funny. It's a good
Everybody's
time.
so serious.
I know you
It's
have a
like,
problem.
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah.
story you tell.
Yeah.
I didn't think you'd
Like Rich's narration.
Yeah.
Hear it.
On a night like tonight.
That is exactly how he narrates. It's wonderful, actually.
That narration is awesome, man.
Yeah.
You got good narration.
So what I do is I turn my mic down, right? I turn it real low, and then I get real close, and I put it to the side of my mouth, and I go, so this is the house. The house where everything happened.
Whatever you do works, brother.
It's like ASMR.
Is-
It is ASMR, right?
I just talk like I'm really bored with everything.
It's not so much, it's like you're sad about everything.
Yeah.
It's
Like,
my
oh,
inner
fuck.
darkness.
You know?
Oh, boy.
Can you beep? Can you beep things? Do we need to beep
Oh,
things?
are we?
Yeah, are we supposed to be?
Is this
That's a
an
good
and?
question. Are we supposed to be on our best behavior?
I'm gonna be my natural self.
Good. Yeah. That's smart.
if-
Which is not very behaviored. I'm
If you're not on your best behavior, we're gonna cut it out.
That's right.
We just
If
have
you're-
like a. We
If
just
you're
have like.
stiff with too much nice behavior,
There's like
that's
a
gonna
big-
be
Gotcha.
cut
That
out.
makes total
There's like a
sense.
big
yeah.
black
That's gonna
outline
be cut
where
out.
he is.
That's messed up. I am the shadow
Just
person.
mask
I'm the
it
friend.
and rotoscope
Yeah,
it
I'm
out.
just a shadow person. It's
So
okay.
we're just gonna continue rolling then.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, go for it.
Edit
Why not?
it.
Cool. Well, Jason, do you want to kick us off with something you've experienced? Jason's been doing this longer than any of us, so.
Yeah, I guess, sure. I've been doing it for, I don't know, 7 years or so. I started out with just my wife and I and a couple pieces of small equipment in graveyards, and then we started buying tickets to public events. I would say my first profound experience was at Parafest. My buddy Toby had a ball on the second floor up by the offices. You guys all know where I'm talking about. He had rolled it and asked, we thought we were enacting with a little boy, and asked for the ball to roll back, and it did. And the video of that is on the Parafest page on
Oh,
Facebook.
I saw that. It's crazy.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Fairly similar to our ball experience.
It is with our basketball.
What- Yeah, oh yeah, the basketball. I thought you were talking about the first experience I had, which was my first ghost hunt.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Which was also with the cat toys, because we put the cat toys. We disagree on this. We put our cat.
okay.
We had our little cat balls. We put them on a stage. Remember?
Yep,
And we had
center
we
field,
had
Foxgrove.
we had the Ovulus, and we were doing EVP, and it would light up when we asked it to and turn off at the same time we asked it to stop. Not
You
saying
stop looking
I'm not
at me
saying
laugh.
that.
Go ahead.
I think it could have been paranormal.
We've had some really cool experiences with the cat balls. There's always going to be doubters and haters. You know,
Yeah.
that's just the nature of the beast in the game that we're in. But
Yeah.
I mean, the cat balls are a simple tool that have become widely used in the paranormal field because get great results with it. So I don't hate your story. I thought it was great. I thought it was the only great thing we had that night.
It was awfully convenient that it was answering questions like, can you please turn on? It would turn on, and then can you please stop? And it would stop, and light up for a yes, don't light up for a no, that sort of thing. And it was the first time. It was actually at the Center Theater in Dover Foxcroft. It was the first time
Speaking
we'd
of
ever.
that, shameless plug,
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. We have a theater premiere on the 11th of November, so a week from now, week and a half.
Depending on when you post
Oh, right.
It's November 11th. We're having a free showing at the the Center Theater in Dover Foxcroft. Everybody's welcome, and like I said, it's
5 p.m.
5 p.m. It's absolutely free to get in.
Eastern Standard.
It's gonna
Eastern
be
Standard.
Chris's creation of our investigation at Wilson Castle in Proctor, Vermont.
In Maine.
Yep.
Let me look up the coordinates.
Oh boy.
Yes, so Center Theater, Dover Foxcroft, 5 p.m., November 11th. Admission free.
It's going to be a great time.
It should be.
Should be, yeah.
Yeah,
And
we'll
that's
have
our sponsor.
We'll have some of our gear laid out, so if you're not familiar with the field, you mess around with it, ask some questions, whatever, stuff like that. But
Yeah.
we'll also might raffle off some gear like we did at Parafest.
That was popular.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, but you actually have to stay until the end to get the gear this time.
Yeah, we had an issue at Parafest where everyone left, so when we called the tickets, no one was there. And some people might have hinted that we would send them out, so we got stuck with that process. But at the theater, if you're not there, you don't get the device.
Yes. I'll just say it was me.
Yeah, that's all right.
That's okay.
No big deal.
Yeah.
It'll happen pretty quick at the
Yeah,
theater
yeah.
though, so
I mean,
you'll naturally be there still.
Here's the thing with,
Right.
with
Unless you
Parafest-
walk out of the theater, that is not right.
Right. With Parafest, it's an all-day thing. At the theater, it's like how long is the video approximately? Like
It's just over an hour.
just over an hour.
Yeah.
So if you're that impatient, I don't think you deserve to win.
Oh, that's pretty good. I mean, you're not wrong.
Was that your experience that you were going to share? Was
That was my experience because that was my first one. That was about a year and a half ago at this point. So I've been doing this with you guys for a while, you and Chris and
Wow.
Logan
Yep.
and Alyssa.
Me? I have a lot of spooky stories. And so there's one I already shared with you guys, but I think there's one that I haven't shared with you guys that I will tell. So my parents own a home in Belfast, Maine, and it was built in 1773. It used to be an old fort for the British soldiers. I think during the war of like 1812 or something like that. Anyway, so it's a very old house and it's got a lot of history. It used to be a schoolhouse and there's some old architecture in there, so it's pretty cool to hang out there and just look around. But I used to come home from college on my winter breaks in the wintertime. And the summertime, obviously. But in the wintertime, this one was like a spring break or maybe even summer break. And my parents had a cat named Libby. And usually I could hear Libby if she wanted to come in from outside. She would jump off of the patio table and onto the deck. And you could hear it. The cat's paws would be like,
Sure.
And I'd be like, oh, Libby wants to come in. So the one night I was watching TV in the living room, there's some windows behind me, and I hear, Libby's footprints jump. I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm kind of lazy, so I just checked out the window, because I was like, I'm not getting up for this cat. And I check out the window, and at the top, it was very strange, at the top left-hand corner of the window, there was just a man that had it was just white, a white shirt, or it was from here, it was like a bust, And he was an old man, and he looked very sweet. He didn't have any like angry disposition on his face, but he just like peeked in. And I remember like how his hair was kind of like combed over to the side too, and scared the crap out of me. So I looked up, saw this bust at the top corner of the window, and I was like, none of this makes sense. And I quickly like closed the windows and I just sat there for a second and then I ran to my mom. Very scared because there was just no explanation for it, and she calls him the captain.
This was last year.
No, this was years ago. This was probably like 2009, maybe.
They call it the captain?
My mom calls this old
That's
man the
interesting.
captain because sometimes you hear also his footsteps up in the attic. You can hear like boots. They're boots. And
So other
she-
people are experiencing this stuff too.
Yeah, my parents, visitors, that like my parents' friends and family, my son, other people have experienced a couple things in their house.
Like sound, you're the only
Do
one
they-
that saw something.
Nope, my mom sees stuff like shadow figures or, you know.
Do they still have the location? Do they still?
Yeah,
Yeah. They do.
I'm gonna inherit
Let's
this house
investigate.
someday.
That's what I
Right.
was saying.
That's where my mind
That's what I was
went.
saying. Like Chris, that's exactly what I was saying. I was like,
using
let's
those
go.
present tenses like my parents own a house.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's what I was
Yeah.
saying. I was like, let's go.
yeah, so there has been tons of stuff going on there. My mom's a very spiritual, like, person,
Would
kind
you
of
be
like
open
me.
to an investigation?
They probably would. I think she's only concerned that just like with any other paranormal investigation situation, they're
Sure.
worried that
Valid.
things get stirred up.
Yeah.
And even when my parents have visitors, like friends from New York or family, it just seems to stir the energy up. So you'll hear things more often, or you'll feel things more often. But it's just a really cool place. Like whenever they are like, "Can you want a house set?" I'm like, "Yes." I'll be by myself.
So your specter, like, should you have been able to see the rest of the body, or?
I felt like I should have seen the rest of someone's body, but I didn't. It was
interesting.
like just like from here up, kind of like a misty white figure. Everything looked white, like it was like a black and white film.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I just saw like the top half of him at the top corner of the window. And
I'm
I was
wondering,
like,
you know,
what is that?
my brain goes to, what's the term, pareidolia?
Pareidolia. Yeah.
Where you're seeing familiar things in just random
Right.
patterns or whatever.
It could have been.
But man, when
It's-
when it tricks that eye,
What adds to
you're fooled,
pareidolia in
you
the
know?
sense of the house from the 1700s is that the glass they used back then had
Yeah.
a lot of imperfections.
There is a-
and
That's
create
true, yeah.
pareidolia quite a bit. Not saying I'm not trying to discredit
No,
it.
no,
No
I'm
one
saying
guys? Fine.
But it was real to you, and that's
It was
See,
legit.
the thing
Too
that
legit to quit
makes
for me.
me think maybe, even, and I know I'm the skeptic, but the thing that makes me think non-pareidolia, you said it moved, right? Like the thing moved.
It like
Yeah,
it kind of like
like moved his
peeked
hair.
in.
Right.
It like
So,
I opened
yeah.
the window and he kind of like peered in the window and I was just like, what the?
Yeah,
I
I don't know how something moving, like pareidolia, I know it works, but like
still,
if
yeah.
it's moving like a person too, like
You'd
that's a
have
little
to
bit
be-
more weird.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think, especially, the theory with the old glass, the more you move, it changes the imagery
Right.
that you're
Yeah.
seeing.
Oh, that's
changes.
true,
So
yeah, if
I
you're
don't
moving.
think that
And
pareidolia would
yeah.
lend to that.
Oh yeah.
Some of these
So my other
windows
question
are
is, like,
original.
you're sensitive, right?
Yes.
So,
I feel like I am.
this might be a stupid question coming from somebody who's not, but would it be a specter you think someone else would have seen had they been in the bed with you, or was that
Yes.
part of your?
Oh!
Okay.
Well, gosh, I don't know because some
Your
people
mom.
are, yeah, like my mom
Okay.
definitely. I feel like some people are more sensitive than
I agree
others.
100%.
Right? So, with that being said, one person's experience could be a different person's experience, whether it be nothing or something a little bit different. But my mom kind of confirmed those feelings because she says she's seen him when
Sure, yeah.
said
I
she's
forgot you had
heard
said
him.
that.
Yeah, that's
So
interesting.
it was, it was nice to have somebody that was like, oh yeah, I know who that is. I was like, you
That's-
just have an old captain hanging
Yeah,
out?
but that's kind of what makes this fun for residentials is validation that you're not crazy.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's the love outside of the gear that I have for the field is just
Absolutely.
like we have the investigation this weekend. I don't really want to say the name on podcast because it's a private event, but our goal this weekend, rather than renting a location and just trying to experience what all other groups have, this is a location that we're trying to validate her experiences.
Yeah.
There's been one other group in there
Yeah.
since she's come out with her experiences, so this is our chance to help them understand, or at least try,
It's
or at least
much.
validate their experiences. I think if I was in their shoes, that would be huge to me.
Yeah,
I
that-
think it'll be really interesting because I don't think I've been on one where we're that way, you know?
Our team
we're
hasn't
actually
done
trying to
that.
like figure out what it is rather than just get a response, I guess, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
What's funny is that we had one scheduled once. Do you remember that?
What are you talking about?
That guy's house with the old church. Was
Oh yes, that was early.
yeah. So this
sounds
was very. I
interesting.
think it was like our first
heard
time
this
out.
story.
Actually.
I think it was.
It was a residential situation.
It was, and it was a long way away, and it was cold that
It
day.
was snowing, it was freezing. We drove like 3 hours, me and him and Skylar. First time I ever invited them out. It was a private
It was, because I remember you opening your
so
trunk, or
upset.
I remember looking at your gear and just going, it was like the light shine of, like I found gold. You know, there's so much stuff. And I was like,
so cool.
I thought he was going to pull an EMF ring, thing, and then someone was a little doohickey, but no, he was packed to the
And we've gotten more since then. So.
Yeah,
I
But we
guess-
get there and the guy don't answer the door.
he sure did.
Oh, I think you told me about
And we
this
sat
one
in the driveway and played
Yeah.
with gear, banged on
Remember
the
that
door.
light went on though.
Yeah.
We're like,
There was a light. There was a light. Like, hey, that wasn't on before. You
He was there. He just didn't want to talk to you.
And we leave, and 10 minutes down the road, he calls me and he's like, "Were you guys here?" I'm like, "Dude, never mind."
No, we checked out.
let you just like put your EMF reader on the door. Yep, there's a ghost here. We just can't see it yet.
Oh man,
Well,
it was
I-
really strange.
That brings me to a question that I don't think I've ever asked either of you. How did you two start doing this together? Did you just meet at work, or?
Yeah, I trained him at our job, and through an icebreaker, just getting to know you sessions, he mentioned that that's something he was into, and I was like, oh my gosh, that sounds so cool. I want to do that sometime, and that we just kind of, made that happen, and my son, he was invited too, and that was just, it was your son too.
Yeah, the first time we actually got to
Right,
go somewhere.
that's
Yeah,
what-
we both brought our sons.
So
that is
yeah,
cool.
so that's kind of how it kicked off, and then just through very similar things, with you guys, I think it was kind of in the icebreaker
Yeah.
moments too.
That's cool.
That it just started ping ponging, and
Rich and I used to just raise
yeah.
hell in the CSC.
Yeah. So at our job, they decided to sit us across from each other because we worked in the evenings at the time, and I was just like, "So, what do you do?" And you're like, "I ghost hunt," and I'm like, "Wow."
You know what though? So many people want to do this. So many people
That is
watch
true.
the shows. I can't tell. I have a list of people that if we open it up for, hey, let's bring a group of people who want to join this or whatever. Not as a join the team, but as have an event. Go out for an event and try this.
Yeah.
See what it's like
I
to
have
experience
people
it.
in my job, too.
Like a dozen or so at least, and
I always felt that there would be people who, like, you'd find skeptics everywhere who want to shut you down and stuff. And I've definitely, like, experienced, I've met people who are like that, but the majority of people I meet are very positive about
I've not had any
I
hate
think,
at all.
yeah,
I think
know.
that if you would have broached the subject 25 years ago, your experience would be a lot
Different.
different. When
yeah.
Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures and all those places brought it into the mainstream, just like UFOs, I think that the tide has turned in people's, the public opinion of ghosts and aliens. It's I'm not saying everybody thinks they're real, but I really do think
Open
that
to what
everyone
ifs, though.
has an
Yes,
open-
that's what it is. They're more
mind.
open.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so that's how it all went down.
What about you? What's an
What about
experience
me?
you want to talk about?
Oh man. So my wife and I were living in an apartment in Los Angeles, in a suburb of Los Angeles, actually, Redondo Beach, and we had several different experiences. There was a time that we were making dinner for ourselves, and I was making some croissant.
Homemade?
Good.
No, Pillsbury.
Oh.
Throw 'em out.
Wow, croissants.
No, yeah. So they're just croissants. So anyway, I mean, these, they're pretty delicate. They're only in there for like 8 minutes or something. I don't know. And I went to go take them out, and they were perfect. And I looked, and this oven was on broil,
Oh wow.
and I hadn't done that. And I went to go turn it off, and I'm like, no, what?
Yeah.
There's no way they would have been on broil for 8 minutes. They'd have been on fire. So I didn't understand what happened with that, and I felt, and that was actually after a few other things happened too. So
Scary.
I was already on the lookout for weirdness. Another thing that happened in the same apartment is I had a picture on the wall, pretty large pictures, probably like this big, and it was on a nail pounded into wood panels, real wood paneling, and had a pretty big head on it too, so the wire hooked onto it and you couldn't pull this thing off.
Got it.
And one day I heard it slide off the wall, and it slid down the wall and pinched between a futon mattress and the wall and didn't break. But I'm like, what? So I call my wife up, she's in the news, and I just said, hey, is any earthquakes or something? What the heck happened? There was no trucks driving by, nothing like that. There was no vibration at all and no earthquakes, she reported to me. And I had no explanation for why, and put it back on, never fell again. It doesn't fall, it can't fall, you know?
Wow.
So that was really
That's
weird
interesting.
too. Same place. So what else happened there? Okay, one night, about 1 o'clock in the morning, all of a sudden I heard classical music blaring, but muffled but loud. You could
That's
tell.
weird.
And I'm like, what is going on? I thought it was my neighbors, so I'm getting up, I'm looking around, I determine it's actually coming from the closet in the hallway separating all the bedrooms and our main living room. And I'm like, okay, I open the cabinet, and on the ground, okay, underneath all these shelves that you can't fall from shelf to shelf with the door shut, and those doors were like shut. And so underneath all these shelves on the ground was a radio that was on, blaring classical music, and it had a toggle switch from tape to radio. It was an old school boombox thing. And when you flipped it, it went and just like hard flip over. It was a real tough spring in there. So it didn't just, you know, it didn't just wind turn it on or whatever. I don't know.
Like there had to have been force behind it. Like
There's
Yeah,
batteries in it? Battery
And
operated?
well, okay, so thanks for foreshadowing. Cut that piece. We're gonna edit this.
I want to know.
So I was doing some lawn work not too long after that, and I'm like, oh, that radio. I could go for some classical music, I was thinking. So I went to go grab the radio from that closet, and it was just days later, and I brought it out and turned it on, and nothing came out of it, and there was no freaking batteries
that's
in it.
weird, man.
That's wild.
That is actually weird.
What?
Yeah.
I will admit that
What'd
was
you
a
do?
strange
Did you
one.
just...
Okay,
Well, I did the lawn work without music.
Oh,
hear me out.
thought about it.
Ghost batteries. No, energy.
Hey, energy.
It's just energy, man.
It was so loud. It
Like,
was so
So
loud.
strange. That's weird.
Yeah.
Like, what if a ghost was like touching the like little prongs for the batteries?
They're all,
yeah.
yeah, that'd be a thing.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yo, I wonder if a ghost like puts a 9-volt on its tongue. If you put it on something, it'll work again.
It'd probably just glow brighter, I think. I'm thinking Casper right now, I don't know.
Buttered sausage.
Oh, stop it.
So
They don't
anyway,
get that
I think one more
reference.
thing
That's
happened,
okay.
but I can't think of what it is right now. If I do, I'll interrupt you guys.
Feel free to.
All right, what did you do? Happen
Me,
to
I haven't had very much. Really, the only thing for me that I've seen so far that's even a little bit like weird is when we went to Wilson Castle and we got in the portal twice on that Estes thing.
That's on
that.
That's in the video.
That's in the video.
Tease.
Sorry, that's tease. This is a little bit weird. That's the one thing for me so far. Like, because I'm really I looked at things and I'm a lot more skeptical. I
So
think.
what's your explanation for the ball?
So for what the lighting up?
No, the basketball.
I wasn't there for that.
Oh,
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, I wasn't there for that one.
That's-
Unfortunately.
I was gonna say, because while we've been,
See, that's funny.
we've
No,
seen some
It
stuff,
is
my
funny that
friend.
you say that because that's the thing. It feels like every time I'm not able to go,
But
on, you guys
you've
see some
seen-
weird stuff.
You've seen the YouTube short we put on it.
I
right?
did see that. Yes.
So, do you have a theory?
Yeah.
That basketball
I didn't-
moved, Jack.
Listen.
the thing is I didn't see the whole thing, so I
Right.
don't know
We have
what
the
the
whole
surrounding.
thing.
Well,
Yeah,
when
we'll
we
show
went
you.
into the
Hey,
gym,
guys.
not to like over talk, but when we went into that gym, I felt like, yes, it makes some creaky noises. This is the Rumford Community Center.
Right.
It makes creaky old noises because it's an old wooden gym, right? So I was like, I can't even I don't know if I'm hearing anything, but I definitely felt like there was a lot of stuff going on. It was a gym, you know, a lot of energy from there. And when we went down, I was just like, well, what can I... You guys were doing some, like, something with the lighting and cameras, and I was just like, I'm going to leave this basketball right here.
It was so brilliant. I'm
And
glad
it
you
just,
did it.
like, I was like, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah, but you put it in such a specific place. I remember you placing it, and then to see him walk near it-ish, you know, but then stop and wait, and then the ball moved.
That's what was so compelling.
Yeah.
And after, you didn't bump that. There was no wind.
He was stopped.
There was
No,
no,
so
there was
my-
no lean of a basketball floor, you know?
Yeah.
So I'll tell you my account is my account of like how it happened. So the video is a YouTube short on our channel. We'll put a link in the description or whatever. You can check it out. But basically, I was walking around with an infrared camera, and I was looking at the screen. I think I was looking at the screen, and so I couldn't see anything. You know, it's not like I have like night vision or anything like that.
Right.
Just on the camera. So I'm looking around trying to film stuff, and I walk past. We found out later. I ended up walking past the basketball. What happened at the time was I thought I hit it. I tapped it with my foot as I walked by. What happened was. I walked past it, stopped, turned. That's what the point when I thought I hit it. It actually, like when I full stopped, it rolled into my foot, and I thought I hit it. I didn't. It came for me.
Exactly.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
Really,
And
really compelling.
it was really weird.
So the
that's
basketball is sweet. But that cabinet opening at the
That was-
Conjuring house in front of all of us.
And the camera.
Yeah.
Hello!
on
And
that
got that on video. Check that.
I'm still
Put that link in there too, buddy.
I'm still, yeah, we'll put a link to that too.
And-
I'm still
and-
sore I couldn't go to
And
that.
when I was visited upstairs by the footsteps and I'm shining the light going, I knew somebody was coming. And I was shining the light to be a nice guy and light their way. Nobody was there.
See,
That
and you
is
were
weird.
upstairs in which side of the house?
I was upstairs in the middle section and you guys were 2 floors below and all the way to the end. And we have the correlated time
Yep.
together to show that
So
in the video.
The section in the middle and the section above the kitchen are the most
Right.
haunted. So and that middle was where they had the coat hanger incident.
That's right.
Which I tried so hard to replicate that night. I guess they had some coat hangers moving on their own and
Oh,
stuff
that's
on
weird.
multiple occasions in there.
I
so
feel like
I
they
would
were doing
love
that in
to
the
see
closet and they were getting like, it was like coming at them or something. I don't
Maybe,
remember
yeah.
what it was, but
Yeah, I can't remember the
hey,
story. but I remember
any
that
coat
was-
hanger that's animated is going to freak me out,
Yeah.
right? That's not something
That is-
that's
There's no
natural.
draft in the closet for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's it. I guess we're all shared out. I've seen a couple apparitions. I guess I could share that.
Yeah.
That was probably the most compelling thing that's ever happened to me. The first time was at Fort Knox in what is that, Prospect.
New Bucksport.
A friend of mine and I were kicking someone out. We'd been drinking at one of our public events. So on the way back to the common area where we were sleeping, we had to go through the main sally port, which if you ever look at the front of Fort Knox, it's that big archway in the front. Beyond it, the building cuts in about 4 feet, and then there's a wall that runs 4 football fields. There's no doors, there's no windows, and in that little cut,
Thick.
thick wall.
12-foot thick wall of solid granite rocks.
We were on a golf cart coming around the corner, and we see somebody. It looked like they were standing, in that little cutoff, and then they when they saw us, it looked like they dipped around the
Oh,
corner.
weird.
And we had just kicked someone out for drinking. So
Sure.
we're thinking.
Of course,
Oh, yeah, totally.
So I go to the guy with me. I go, "Did you see that?" Before I can get it out of my mouth, he's flooring the thing.
That's awesome. Yeah.
That's plenty of message.
We fly up there. There's not a soul. Nobody. So we get off the golf cart, and I'm telling you, this thing. I wish I could show you. There's no way. There's nowhere for anybody to
Yeah.
go. It was.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a porta john there. So and what I saw was a completely dark figure, just like you always hear in the descriptions. Paranormal. It was a blacker than black figure. I saw no features. I couldn't tell you if it was male or female. Just a humanoid.
Shadow man.
Exactly.
Shadow figure, yeah.
So I knock on the toilet door, and my brother's in there. And I'm like, oh, all right, it was my brother. No big deal.
Right.
So we leave, we go back into the sally port, and we're hanging out. And like 2 minutes later, my brother walks around the corner with the whitest white shirt you ever saw. in your
Oh
life.
man. That's interesting.
Nope.
And I was like, dude, did you come out of the bathroom? He's like, did you see us coming on the car? He's like, no, you scared the shit out of me.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So the second time was we were at Parafest, actually. It was a year ago, not this past Parafest, but the one before. We were in the basement of the second building, which I think is where we were set up this year.
We were with you all night. Yeah.
This year.
This year or last year?
So it must have been the year before.
I think it was the year before last.
We were
before
yeah,
last.
we were
Parafest happens every year.
Yeah.
Right. Parafest is an annual event
Right.
in Vassalboro at the old woolen mill that we put on every year. It's just kind of like a Comic-Con for the paranormal, anything spooky really. We have cryptozoologists and witches and psychics and paranormal
Taxidermists.
investigators,
Taxidermists.
Geologists.
Yeah, that guy was interesting.
Admiral
Ouija
Captains.
boardologists.
Admiral captains. yeah.
Anybody who's weird enough to hang out with us is welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I'm
So-
not
It's a
weird.
good time that way.
usually the night after the event, but this year we did it the night before. We hold a public paranormal investigation, which means that we sell tickets to the public and they get to come in, and we split them up into groups, and we have multiple teams set up with all their gear, and guests get to go around and investigate with each team and try out all the new.
We had a lot of activity this year.
Yeah. So that year, down in the very bottom floor of the basement, in the second building is where that Nissan Z, that
Yep.
old sports car is down
Yep.
there.
Classic.
That's where the picture of the captain was taken. So there's like a famous picture of the captain that was taken at the mill, and he's called that because he looks like he's wearing like a captain's hat and
See,
attire.
that's what was interesting about your story, Alyssa.
Yeah.
Because you said, like, the
The
captain.
captain.
that's what I was
We
thinking
know of a
The
place.
captain.
I mean,
Captain's
like,
another-
we're on the seaboard, so
The
Yeah.
mills.
I mean, that makes
Building
sense.
town.
That's true.
That's what we were known for
Yeah.
from our
Yeah.
inception. So.
yeah. Well, and all these big, rich buildings, usually were sea captains' homes.
Yes,
and things.
absolutely.
That's who had the
Yes.
big buildings back in the day.
Yeah.
I love the mill. I think the
I do
mill
too.
is probably my favorite place
It's
that
so
we can go to
interesting.
regularly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's great.
All these buildings, though, the history, to see the craftsmanship and just the way things were done in times past,
It's incredible.
it's just incredible.
Having any history in construction, thinking about the intricacies and the beauty of the art in their construction
People.
back then, to think that they didn't have the tools we had now just boggles my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fact that we have these modern tools and our trim work looks like garbage compared
Right.
to what it was
Yeah,
100
yeah.
years ago. you know?
Wilson
I
Castle
try so
blew me
hard.
away. I was very distracted with a lot of the architecture too.
Oh, that place. That place
I don't
is
see it as distracted. It's part of the reason why I
Yeah,
go.
exactly.
Yeah.
For real, yeah.
I'm like trying to focus, and I'm just like, oh my
That-
god, look at
yeah,
this
amazing.
beautiful wall.
The highest
that's-
paid people there were the painters.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
the
Oh,
gold.
there you go.
And they
In the
painted
ceiling.
they painted this tapestry on the ceiling, and it actually looks like there's tapestry
Drapes,
hanging,
cloths,
and
yeah.
it's
Absolutely
painted.
gorgeous.
Hey, that's all in the video, by
Yeah,
the way.
it
Will
is.
you highlight that on November 11th? Can't wait till you see it.
So
on-
at Parafest, I saw the captain in the spot that the picture was taken.
That's interesting.
It wasn't just me; it was my teammate from one of the other teams I work with from that puts on Parafest, and a guest that was there with us that all saw this black. I didn't see a captain. Again, I saw a darker. It was dark down there, and then a dark figure standing under the stairwell.
My receptor must not be like hers or,
Well, that's what
or
I'm
like
thinking
Skylar.
too.
Skylar has seen things that I have not.
Yeah,
I've been
he-
right there. So, but I have interaction like with the obelisks and conversations like with the Estes method and things like that. But I don't see anything. I want to see stuff.
That's where I'm at too. I
Yeah.
want to see something. That's like the
I
end
don't-
all be all for me.
Whoa!
That's the holy grail.
Oh yes, let's go.
I
Like
was
that's what I
5
want.
Even if we don't get it on recording, I want
Yeah.
it for
Did you-
me.
did you-
Yeah, me
that's-
too.
what
I'm the
was it,
same.
5 years?
No.
5 years.
5 years. Let's be
I've-
patient.
I've
You've only
never
been doing
I
this
know.
for
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm.
I've
yeah.
never captured it on camera, anything like that, and I'm talking hundreds.
I mean, it's
of
like
times.
Bigfoot, I
That's-
suppose.
That's
you
the
know?
thing is I'm not doing this for everybody. I'm doing it for me. So all I have
Oh,
to
that-
do is see it, and I'm
that's
like, oh,
literally-
okay, there we go.
You're doing
Yeah.
it for us.
Okay, that's a little bit weird, but yeah, sure.
Well, I want to take a second and point out when you're talking about like the history of places. You like to look up the history,
I
and you're
do.
always telling me wacky stories. Like,
Yeah, I
like,
love it, dude.
We'll be going to some like innocuous
she
place
does
that's
that
not too well known or something like that, and then
Yeah.
we'll be like, "Did you know this guy was a mad scientist and was splicing dog DNA with human DNA and stuff like that?" I'm like,
I do
what are
find
you
some
talking
weird
about,
stuff.
dude?
Well, I mean, I like
Did
to-
you know this person was murdered, but not the way you think.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the Hill House. I was talking to you about that. There's a Hill House. They were talking about the governor committing suicide or something is the legend, and I found out he died of like an aneurysm or something. Like it's
Yeah.
completely
Okay.
different to what the story is. But that's my thing. I like the history of things. I like to find out for myself what actually happened, not just the legends. Newspapers.com. Very, very good for that. Yeah,
That's this video's spot.
it is really good.
We should probably keep this fairly short so people will actually watch it though.
That is true. That is
So, what should we tell them to wrap?
To wrap?
Or are we wrapping? I don't know. Do you have plans here?
Yeah, we've
You
been,
want children? I can tell you what
we've
you
been
want.
going. We've been going for about a half hour.
Oh yeah,
We're
that's
shooting
about
for
right.
an hour.
Oh, we are?
We were.
Is that the memo I
That's
missed?
the memo. I said.
Let's keep going.
An hour?
then.
Okay.
Let's keep going.
So
I
what are we
had
doing
more
now?
stories.
So
Let's hear it.
tell me a
Okay,
story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alyssa.
Should I
Side
tell the
stories.
one that I told you guys, or for the
Yeah,
audience,
sure.
or
Yeah.
tell you something
It
different?
depends. Are you gonna tell it all cinematically, like you wrote it for us?
Sure.
Maybe
Oh,
try.
that. Okay. Yeah.
It was a dark
It
and
was a
stormy night in New York.
Yeah.
So I grew up in New York.
Never mind.
New York drop again.
New York.
boy.
And near Albany, New York, and there is a cemetery in Troy there called, I believe it's Twin Pines or something like that. It's a cemetery. It's very well known if you Google it for being haunted. Well, I was a senior in high school, and what are me and my best friend and our guy friends gonna do? We decided to go
Party at the cemetery.
party at the cemetery.
Of course.
So we had to sneak in one by one. That was fun. So we had to like sneak in because it was always watched over by police and scoped over because so many people would go into
you
the
were
cemetery.
hood rats breaking
Yeah,
Right.
us hood rats were running around. But a lot of different things happened during that time, and it was in the fall time like this. So, and it wasn't very windy. It was quiet, so you could hear if somebody was like or something was with the leaves. So we all sneak across the road and go into the cemetery. We all meet at this mausoleum that's like crumbling, and we all decide that we're gonna walk. Yeah, we're all gonna walk in a line, like we're doing a search, but we're gonna walk into a line into the cemetery so that we all stick together and all maybe can see the same things. So before we even start walking in, we're all lined
That's
up.
creepy because like you're alone, but you're not alone.
Right? Yeah, because you could see it you know that your peripherals are your friends. You all can kind of have the same view going forward. And before we even get started, along the cemetery was a dirt road or gravel road, and you could hear cars drive by on it and the gravel cracking and stuff. And before we even go in, we hear two women talking. Like in my mind, it felt like two women that were like power walking and like talking together. And because it was going fast, the footsteps and the voices were going fast. And I was like, what is this? And you could follow the voices.
And they were on
you could follow the
heelys.
footsteps, and all of my friends and I hear the same thing, and we're like looking, we're not that far, we're looking to see if anybody's coming up or down.
All your heads are tracking the
Yeah,
same
you
way.
can hear it as it's going down, just two women talking, and the sound of footsteps on like a dirt road. So the guys that I was with, they were getting scared, and we were like, we don't want to go any farther, that's scary enough, because we were trying to get to this one angel statue that's notorious for investigators to go see, because it's granite, but it was clean cut. Like somebody, it's hard to explain how
Interesting.
the head was cut off. But anyway, that's where we wanted to go. But before we even got there, we were getting creeped out. So we're like, well, let's go a couple more feet or something, a little bit longer. And so we start walking, and we're talking to each other and trying to be a little quiet. We're walking on the leaves very quiet because we don't want, we want to hear everything. All of a sudden, I feel a breath go, like blow on my neck.
Oh,
And then my hair kind of went like that. I know. And then I should you not, come to I'm by myself on the other side of the cemetery. my whole group of friends are on the
that's
other
weird.
side. I thought I was with them, and they thought they were with me.
Oh, that's
And
great.
until
That's
some,
weird, man.
I
That's,
don't know. I do not know. All I know is I felt
It's
on
like
my neck, and all of a
That's
sudden it just.
Alright,
Yeah,
that
it was
gave me
crazy.
goosebumps. That's a weird story.
I
That's pretty
swear.
good.
I wouldn't like.
It's almost like alien abduction.
Yeah, I know.
It's
Time lost.
It's
Like,
like it's like you were like there were apparitions of each other accompanying each other.
Well, like a
It's, like,
doppelganger
weird.
situation.
Yeah,
You know, I've
but
heard
so
a lot about
strange.
these doppelgangers where you were so sure you just saw your partner or your friend and you were just talking to them, and then all of a sudden it's like, I wasn't here. What are you talking about?
That's weird.
that is interesting.
It was kind of like that situation when they thought I was standing right next to them and I thought they were standing next to me.
That's
And
creepy.
after that blow on my neck and my hair went like that, I kind of like snapped out of it and saw them way over there.
Why on the
And
neck?
I didn't. I don't
Because
know.
it's creepy.
Because it's creepy.
I don't know. And I thought, oh, maybe the wind is tall. But it's
Yeah,
like
when
a
you
hard
do it.
on my neck.
Sorry, simmer down, creepy Joe.
Huh?
I can't imagine you had much skin exposed in the fall.
No.
No, yeah,
And
that's
it was
weird.
very quiet. It was
Alyssa,
really
how
like-
much skin
Opportune
did
is
you
what I'm
have
saying. You know what
exposed?
I mean?
It
It might be
was
the most
back in the day.
opportune place, is what I was.
Yeah,
alluding
that's-
to.
that's-
Sorry.
Yeah, and then after that, everybody we were with were like, no, we're out. We're not
That's
doing
so
it. We're not
strange.
going anymore. It's too creepy.
That's weird.
Yeah.
And that freaked me out. I don't know how to explain it. It just stayed with me forever.
Do it.
Yeah,
Thank
for
you.
sure. Yeah.
Poke holes in that one.
No, that's weird.
And the cemetery is called. You can Google it in like Troy, New York. I forget if it's like called Tall Pines or Twin Pines.
See, when you told me the story, I thought you said you were in college when it happened.
No, it was in 2006.
Wow.
Back
Wow.
when I was in high school. So that's what
Yeah, I
happens
know.
when you get older. Yeah. Yeah, back in the day.
I won't
Back in the
judge.
day.
I was only 7.
Yeah, you
I'll
guys
find
are
out later.
babies.
That's 9.
I was up to
That's a
no
little bit
good.
better.
That's what it was.
2006, yeah, we don't want to talk about what else.
Yeah. 2000.
Jason, you mentioned that you had done
I'm sure
graveyards
if you
before.
Googled me, you could find out.
You mentioned that you had done graveyards before, like before you started doing like real places and stuff.
Yeah. So our first ever investigation, my wife and I, was at West Virginia State Penitentiary, and so we were gung ho when we bought the tickets, but then as the day approached, it was like we've never done this before.
Yeah.
So we went out to just all we went to the Grove in Belfast, just cruised around, went to Mount Hope, and just played with our gear and got used
Interesting,
to our
yeah.
gear and. Never really had anything
Well,
too crazy happen, and honestly, if I was dead, I wouldn't hang out by my grave.
Right. Actually, so I was.
That's
gonna
not where the
say-
trauma happened.
So
You know?
I was gonna. The reason I ask is because I was actually talking to a person at Parafest, and I was telling him about a thing that I read about. It's Sarah Ware in Bucksport. Have you ever heard the story of Sarah Ware?
No.
Yeah. So she was murdered. I can't remember when it was, but one of the most interesting things about that to me is. It's a little bit gruesome, but she was decapitated, like they took her head. But some people say that her body and her head are buried at 2 separate cemeteries.
I've heard that too.
Yeah, and I have that plotted. I know the 2 places. I was wondering if you'd ever do like a graveyard one again. Like I think if anywhere that would be the
So
kind of
I
place.
have a little book that is full of
Awesome.
wish list book.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that is that location.
Is it?
Just logistically, I'm not sure how we would do it, but it's definitely in the wheelhouse.
I mean,
battery operated.
I think it would make a
FaceTime.
great video to show
One team on one side.
non-mainers.
Yeah,
it's a great
yeah.
old story.
That's
that's
Just like
awesome because that's
That's
like
some gear we need. We need like a battery pack to like I don't know, something to convert
Like
a
a-
car battery into something that can power your stuff. Then we could do weird stuff like that
Yeah.
where there's no
we've
outputs.
got that stuff.
yeah. I mean,
I got a Jenny.
We've got a power inverter in
Yeah.
my truck, so.
oh
Yeah,
yeah,
there's
there you go. Yeah,
There you go.
because I've been thinking about that place for a while because that was one of the places I looked up, and there's a lot of weird stuff in Bucksport. Not just like the thing everybody knows about, like the witch's foot,
foot, yeah.
but there's also there was a family called the Trim family that was murdered and their house was set on fire. That was in Bucksport. Just a lot of stuff in Bucksport, just for
Yeah.
some reason.
Got a lot of history in Bucksport.
Yeah, I know,
It's
and that's like one of the places like I've been thinking about.
The first expedition to the North Pole was launched from Bucksport.
I did not know that. That's
I didn't know that.
Some
incredible.
really cool history over there. Just
Really?
overall.
That's incredible. I did
The
not know
first
that.
successful.
Oh, okay. That's
Oh,
good. That's a good argument. That's good.
That's yes.
Good.
That's a criterion for me to put
Yeah,
yourself in the book.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, so
we
there-
tried,
There are a
but-
bunch of locations. So there's an old B-52 that crashed in northern Maine.
Yep,
that-
I've been there.
too.
That place is incredible.
And that has a feel to it.
Yeah,
I've never been, but I've heard
Yeah,
that
it is.
every time.
You know, I'm not the
Like
type of
that.
person that feels that way usually, but I can agree with that.
The
It just
crazy thing
feels
about that
weird,
is that
man.
all of that stuff was
Yeah.
removed at one time
Yeah.
because of people messing with it. They moved
Well, that's
it all,
true, yeah.
And then they brought it back and replaced it.
That would be a
What,
cool
like
one.
the wreckage?
The fuselage.
Oh,
all
it's
that
all
stuff.
Fuselage is all that up
Yeah.
there, yeah.
It was all
It's out
removed.
there?
Yes,
yeah.
dude. Yeah, I've been there.
Wow,
It's
I had
In
no idea.
pieces.
in pieces.
But it
yeah,
was
I mean,
all
yeah.
removed
Yeah,
at one
but-
point.
Yeah, but that's interesting.
It's great.
That would be
Wow.
incredible.
Yeah.
I've never thought about that. That'd be a cool place.
There's actually
to go.
several
I
airplane
heard there's a nice,
crashes
easy
around
one.
Maine that you can go to and see.
Have you heard of those? I think they're in Maine. Those trains that are just like abandoned.
Oh, yeah,
Trains of the Allagash. I've been there too. That is so cool.
Those are all side by side
Yeah.
destinations.
Yeah, they are. Those are right next to
Dude,
each other.
that is
They
like
are?
Yeah,
just a
dude, they're
few
very
miles
close.
from the Allagash abduction. Have you ever heard of the Allagash abduction?
I know she has because she was looking into it.
One of the most
for a minute.
compelling alien abduction stories out there. So
Yep.
Oh, wait.
Couple
Fire in the
college
Sky?
kids.
Is that Fire in the Sky based?
No, Fire in the Sky was, I think that's Texas, believe it or
okay.
not. That's Travis.
There is a movie based
Lowe,
on
or
this particular one, though, isn't there?
I'm not sure.
I don't know if
wouldn't
there's
be
a
surprised.
movie from this one or there was a guy that talks about it. I think he's in like Massachusetts.
So there was like what 3 of them from college. They
Yeah.
all passed lie detector tests. Well, I think
Hypnosis.
2 of them recanted later on, but yeah, regression hypnosis. Yeah, they put them through the ringer and couldn't disprove their story. And
Wow.
they claimed they're out on a lake at the Allagash and had lost time. The
Gosh,
whole
what was
yeah.
the
whole
pond
deal.
called? Can't remember.
I didn't look into that one. I looked in the Oxford abduction, which was also very interesting. I have this big book on I have a Kindle book that's like a huge book and it has a bunch of abductions. And there was one I was looking into. It was Oxford, Maine. It was actually 1975. It was I think it was October 27th, 1975. And the reason why that's important is if you've ever heard of the Loring Air Force Base UFOs. Those started the same night that happened. Yeah, so that was an incredible one. But that one happened in the morning, like early morning, 3 o'clock. These 2 guys, they heard some noise outside. They get in their car, they go for a drive. Because they're just like, they didn't see anything. They go for a drive. And after they go for a drive, they see something out of a field, like just rise out of a field. And they are chased by it. And then, for some reason, they stay out there. And they go to a pond, and the thing is there. It's just this whole deal. And at the first story, they didn't say anything about abductions, but then hypnosis, hypnotic regression.
Wow.
That story even has Men in Black stuff with it too. And I'm just like, how did anything like that happen to Maine? Like I've never heard of this before. So I've looked into that one a lot. So
That's cool. I don't think I've heard of that one.
yeah, I can show you the book. It's actually, if you have Kindle Unlimited, you can get it for free. It's huge. It's massive.
I have a question. Do
Yeah.
you have to pay for Kindle Unlimited?
Yes, you do. I understand that if you have to pay for Kindle
I'm just
Unlimited, you have to
I'm
pay
just
for the book.
asking to know that. I don't have it. So
Right. Yeah. It's pretty cool though.
I'm just
Those are
wondering.
cool places, but I'm interested too into like the residential stuff
That's
that
where
not a lot of people
really
go
I need to get it
into.
right now. That's where I'm hyper focused on that right
Yeah,
now.
that's
Yeah.
why we've done a lot of I don't know how, not residential, I guess, commercial.
Commercial.
Yeah.
That's
Commercial.
what
Yeah,
comes to my brain.
Yeah, it's commercial.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the one this weekend I'm really stoked about, but there are a few other that are in the works. And so
Sweet.
Just,
Yeah.
It would be nice to go somewhere that isn't kind of somewhat dependent on ghost hunters paying
Right.
to hunt.
exactly.
Yes.
Not that
Yeah,
we're
it's not-
actually hunting ghosts, by the way. It's not like we're trapping them or shooting them or,
Wait,
it's
you don't shoot them?
investigating.
I do.
Well, which,
That's why he brings the holy water. Dude.
right. Squirt guns.
Yeah, squirt gun.
No. No.
So, if your house is haunted and
Yes.
you're seeing this video,
And you live in
Yes,
Maine. or
Yeah,
close
Never
by.
charge.
how could they
never ever
how could
charge
they
for
get a hold of us
investigation.
if somebody had a house that they wanted to investigate?
Well,
How would they get hold?
if Jason wants to duck for a second, we've got the website right behind him.
spectiveparanormal.com. He doesn't have to.
That was
Said it all the time.
That was good. All right.
I was gonna say something, but it's not
Oh,
in my head anymore.
I'll bet it was brilliant, though.
It always is.
Yeah. That's why I said that.
But yeah, so far we've had a really good time together. I haven't been doing it long, but I feel like we.
So I've got a question, if you guys don't mind answering it.
Oh.
Sure.
Is it personal?
It is.
Those are my favorite kind.
Ooh, personal.
Let's go.
I gotta go.
What? Yeah, not that personal. What makes you so interested? Like, what are you hoping to achieve with ghost investigating?
I didn't think we'd have to think with this one.
I mean, for me personally, I just want to see something like that. I've always been interested in it, like ever
So
since
like
I
a
was
bucket
growing up.
list?
Yeah, it's
Checkbox?
okay. So the real thing is, I hear all these people with really interesting stories, and they tell like all these crazy stories, and I'm just like, I haven't seen that. I want to see that. I want to see for myself. This is real. You know
Because
what I
seeing
mean?
is believing.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And as soon as I see something, I'm like, that's what I want. You know, that's all I need.
So as soon as he sees something, he's out. We're done with this guy.
I can stick around.
Got his
I mean,
resume
but-
already.
I have a question for you,
Yeah.
if you don't mind.
Yeah.
What about wind?
What about wind?
You don't see wind.
That's true, but I feel it.
You don't see air.
That's
Do you,
true.
do you feel the air?
Or magnet.
Do you? Wow, you can't answer that. You don't feel air, bro?
Yeah,
You are the
look at
alien.
this.
I'm turning
Look at
you.
this. Yeah, that's good. No, but I mean, it's.
I feel the molecules.
Listen, if other people have seen it, though, I should be able to see it.
Yeah.
Right?
So you
like
want
that's my
to
Why
thing.
not?
I want the
That's-
experience.
That's,
Yeah.
that's fair.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm
I'm just
after.
picking on
And
you.
there are some things that we see that we find as evidence. Like I said, the SD stuff. Like sometimes that's really. It's hard to say it's coincidental for me, and that's fair. Because I know how that stuff works. I look into that. So when something says the same exact thing twice, it's flipping through channels. It shouldn't do that, you know? I
Check
know.
that out in
Check
the
that
video.
out in the movie.
It's coming.
Video, yeah.
November
I
11th.
don't think that's supposed to be how it works. But anyway, go
What
ahead.
about you, Rich?
Why?
Why do you investigate?
I don't know.
What makes you interested in it?
Well, I'm a religious person, and for me, it's not like validation or disproving what I believe, but it's definitely me wanting to just like experience something weird that I can maybe explain with that sort of lens. Like not like say that like the way I believe is the cause of this, but it's like I like to compare it to
Not
that.
to discredit someone, but to just see it through a different.
Exactly.
set of eyes.
Exactly. I'm not trying to discredit anybody. If you think you saw something, you know, you might have seen something. But
Right.
to me, it's like, you know, ghosts, spirits, demons. That stuff is real to me. It's real as a concept, and it's real, like semi-physically, if that makes sense. So for me, it's just kind of figuring out what the heck is going on.
More views of the perspective that you currently have.
Yeah,
It's just
exactly.
another-
And also, it's just to see what other views there could be for as an explanation. Like I could say, "Oh, this thing's a demon" because it's like it's swearing at us. But is it really? Do I?
I
know
swear, I'm not so demony.
But
That's true.
You know what I'm saying.
But
no?
yeah,
It's like-
no, I do.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess it's that, and also it's just freaking fun. Even if we don't experience anything, I
true.
just like being in creepy old places.
Yes,
As long as
yes.
there's dust and it creaks, I'm good. So,
That's fair.
and we also have lasers.
Lasers! We got you guys!
And gadgets, and guys, it's like science.
Yeah.
I like science, and like when we like use it, it's like the best. So there's also that.
Oh, buddy.
Good stuff.
Yep. What about you, Jason?
good.
I'm very articulate. Go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, you're great. So I'm like the polar opposite of Rich. I would say I'm atheist, if anything. But
Aw.
it's cool because it gives us.
Come
like
to
you
my
said,
side.
Never gonna happen. Right?
He knows too much.
So it's cool that we get to see, like you were saying, from different perspectives. You know what I mean? I see it from a completely secular point of view, and you see it from the lens that you see it from. I just think that's great that we have.
I'm just here to
diversity.
save you if there's an exorcism.
Hey man, if you know some verses, that'll get me out of some trouble.
I'm just gonna put this out there. If I ever get possessed, don't try to save me.
So I'm gonna need you to fill out a do not resuscitate.
Do not
Spiritually resuscitate.
do not exercise.
Do not exercise.
Put me in a cage and experience for the rest. You know, we're gonna figure it out.
As you can
Let's not
see,
make money off
as you
that.
can see, I don't exercise often.
Wow.
But In the name of the Lord Jesus, I rebuke you, unclean spirit. Be gone.
Boy.
So did I hear why you're doing this?
No,
I'm not sure if I did.
Well, so it started just, I watched the shows. I've
It's
been
just
addicted to the shows.
geek out on gadgetry and
Yeah,
the possibility that you're
and then
wrong.
It became like a one-upsmanship with myself. You know, I got that mist the first time at Parafest.
Okay.
And then the ball, and then the shadow figure, and then the EVP. And it's just, I just want to get that better piece of evidence. That's what keeps me going investigating. What keeps me in the field collectively is, I remember the first time I went on that public event and someone put an obelisk in my hand. You know,
So do I. Remember
a
that.
piece of equipment that I would never be able to afford at the time. That was my mindset, you know, and I never thought I'd be able to touch it and experience it, and I was so grateful for them trusting me with that.
Me too.
The direct link device that we were talking about earlier, that somebody let me borrow, you know, and I was so touched by all that, and being able to experience that I take great pride in the public events we do and sharing our
Yes,
gear and
absolutely.
watching people experience it for the first time. That's a really big part of why I stick.
I thought you were in it to
see
boost the
that.
economy.
It's going to take more than that.
We're helping the community center out a little here, sir.
With all the gear you have, but
Yeah, boosting the
no, but
ghost
that's cool.
gadgetry economy.
Opposing views, but not opposing people.
Yeah.
Right?
Most of the
We're all in it for the same goal. Just different reasons, I guess.
Well, what about you, yo?
I think, well, first I wanted to join this group because I heard it through work, and I've always been interested in the paranormal, not just the shows, but I've had a lot of spiritual stuff happen to me in my past and throughout my life that I know what my thoughts and my beliefs are on it. I guess I want to experience it a little bit more, but also when it comes to being empathic or sensitive, maybe practice a little bit more in that realm, or being more of the spiritual person. I feel like on the team, having that other people's perspectives to either validate or not validate things I'm feeling or hearing or seeing is important. And I agree, also seeing these beautiful places, going to these areas that we would never have access to, really, other than to do what we would love to do.
And the niche history, those
Yeah.
stories.
Yeah, the little stories. So it's for the experience for me, and validation for me.
Yep. My turn?
Yes.
Completely, it is several things. The history. I love the history. I don't like history book history. I just like seeing and being amongst historic things. I love seeing the craftsmanship that is a dead art, and the wood that no longer we can get, and just so many things about the architecture and the craftsmanship that goes into those old buildings. So it's history and just what all happened here, just daily, just normal stuff, and then the architecture and the building of all that. But ultimately, a couple of people have said it already, it's kind of religious based, where I'm not fully religious, but I'm not gonna say that I'm completely atheist. I consider myself
You're open-minded.
as close to atheism as an agnostic can get.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fair. That's fair.
And so I want to say that I have an open mind, and it's part in why I'm doing this, because I have done a lot of searching in my religious path, and I think I know what's going on. But I kind of want to be wrong. I kind of want to be wrong, because I do think that, lights go out after this. And I would like to think that there's something else, So I'm looking for evidence of that, and I've been looking for evidence of that. And ghosty stuff is something I think could be related to it.
So you're having an afterlife crisis.
That's really good. I like that a lot.
Midlife afterlife crisis?
Yeah.
No, it started when I was about 30, started thinking about it. And now that I'm...
Now I'm right there. That's about the age that I started to
Yep.
make
Yep.
that turn. Because I was very religious. In my first marriage, I preached. I was in a Christian rap group.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, I was gung-ho. I mean, 7 days a week in the church.
Sure.
And,
Yeah. Yeah. You know,
Going all
we
that.
process everything that's ever come to us, and we formulate our ideas.
I
You know?
believe that there's, I don't want to offend anybody, but I am atheist. I don't believe
said
that
it.
there's a higher power that's, I don't think there's a fairy in the sky. But I also do believe that energy can't be destroyed or created. So
It's just transferred.
what happens
Right.
to our energy? That's the part that
Heat dissipation is kind of where my brain went with that.
That's cool, yeah.
And I'd like to point out as well that I am a skeptic in a lot of ways. I'm actively trying to disprove things that we see and like explain them rationally. I'm also really hoping
It's a lifelong journey, I feel.
Yeah, it's just I'm really hoping for something that I absolutely cannot explain. Like the cat balls, we could say it was something,
Yeah.
whatever it was, but I'm looking for something like
People who aren't there. Yeah.
People who are.
I want the Holy Grail.
exactly
I want the Holy Grail. I'm in it for the Holy Grail. Give me some Holy Grail.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
That's fair.
If I have
It's
to
just
wait
like-
5 years, I'll do this for 5 years.
Just
And
like-
don't give me no flashy little Bigfoot thing, you know. Wait, what? You know.
My only thing is,
I want full frontal,
If
you know?
we get something on camera, can it please be in like 4K?
Yeah, honestly, right? Like,
You got to bring the 4K to have it on 4K, man.
Bring Skylar's 5.
We're lucky we got 1080p, bro.
no.
At 30 frames per second.
budget.
That's what our video's in. Enjoy it. Slow motion's not great, but little hitchy. Anyway.
That was interesting. Yeah. Well, that was some good stuff.
Yeah, it's fun. Too bad if Skylar missed it. I really
yeah, it was too
Well,
bad, but
Next
He's
time.
here in spirit. I'm here to.
Here in spirit.
I get what I did there. Yeah.
Did you?
I'm here to be in his, present him for us.
Do they know that he's your son?
He is.
they do now.
I've done had him.
That's really good. Oh boy.
Yeah.
That was weird.
So November 11th, 5 p.m.
Yes.
It's a Center Theater in
Gotta
Dover
fill that
Foxcroft.
theater.
Yes.
Come on.
It's all about the
Yeah.
Wilson Castle.
There's no reason for you not to come.
free.
It's free. You're not.
And it's a great
you're
old
not,
building.
You're not expected to pay for a ticket. You're not expected to bring anything. Show up, enjoy
Yeah.
the show, meet us.
Unless you want some theater.
If you want some
popcorn.
if you
Yeah,
want
that's their deal though.
get some popcorn.
Yeah, that's on them.
Get some popcorn.
Because you need it. You deserve this.
That's right. Be a part of the group, though. That'd be great.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
personally would love to see people's reactions to the videos that
Yeah,
I've created because I don't
honestly.
get to see that.
That's
you know?
That's
So
true.
I can't wait.
It's
for
gonna be
that.
so incredible.
And most importantly, if you have somewhere for us to investigate, contact
let us
us.
know.
www.spectiveparanormal.com.
spectiveparanormal.com.
Yes.
We have our email address on the site. Hit us up. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram.
The YouTube.
The YouTube.
All the videos.
It is not hard.
Shorts.
It's not hard to find us. Just go to the website. So
We are loud.
We are live.
Found us.
Oh,
no, it's not hard to find us. Well, with that being said, we'll wrap up our first episode
Yeah.
of Spective First Light. We thank you very much for tuning in, and we look to have another episode for you next month.
Bye.
Bye.
Stay spooky.
Stay